Welcome to Escape Purgatory, the podcast where we rewatch Supernatural, then talk it through in the hopes that we can finally escape this show.
Join us each week and leave comments on upcoming episodes, and together we can escape Supernatural Purgatory.
Hello.
Hello. I said this before we recorded, but girl,
I know
this episode.
I told you it was good.
It's so good. It is so good. Oh my goodness. Like, this is what you sit through the bad episodes for, the filler episodes for. Like, you for moments, for episode, like, there was not a bad moment in this episode. Yeah, it was just non-stop peak performances. Oh, it was so good. It was so good. It was wonderful. And like, how I didn't see Destil before I did. Like, this episode. Oh, come on. Oh, come on.
He kicks it ass so hard. The problem that I have to say this at the front. So Jeremy Carver wrote this episode. Or I'll say what episode we're doing. So this is episode 18 of season 5. Point of No Return. It's written by Jeremy Carver, directed by Phil Segresha, and this is 100% a Carver episode. But because what he does is like put in like inappropriate jokes and stuff. Yep. But like there were no women in this episode, so
not a single one.
It could only be gay. Like. So do we have Jeremy Carver to blame for like everything? I feel like he's somewhat to blame.
He is somewhat to blame. Him and your boy Ben Edlund. Yeah. Those two are to blame for the. I guess, I mean, technically this is the part of where the fandom was like, oh, this is queer baiting, right?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, like, which I'm always quite surprised that like the queer baiting kind of started this early. But
yeah,
I mean, what some of the lines in the
like they are fuel for fanfic. They are fuel for fanfic.
Right, exactly. And like, to be all, skeptical and boo, doom and gloom. Like, it's an easy way to make fan engagement, and then, that gets your show like higher up in the rankings. But yeah, I still love this episode though, because
oh yeah, no, it's very, very good.
It's funny to watch it now retrospectively, like knowing all the things we know, and it just kind of builds on that relationship, and also everything in the season has been coming to this point. Like, I do like the name of this episode, which is A Point of No Return, because it feels like it's all been building up to this, like we're here now. This is the peak of the season.
Yeah. And like, as I was watching it, I was like, well, how is there 3 more episodes? Like, wait, no, there's 4. There's 4 because there's 22 in this season. Yeah. Like, can they maintain it? I don't know. But I think they do. Though.
Yeah, I think they do, because the next few episodes, like, I kind of feel like I know what's coming up now. This has happened. Yeah, it's all good from here on out. Like, yeah.
It's so good.
I've always kind of understood why people are sort of mad that like Supernatural didn't end after season 5, because I do feel like they were building towards such a like climactic finale that was actually quite good, and then it just continued
for 10 years after this. I know. Can you imagine if like the build up for season 15 was anything like this?
It's nowhere close. Like,
no.
When you look at it now, it's nowhere close. And, like, the thing is, they know how to storytell. Like, this is brilliant. Like, everything has been leading up to these moments, and all the beats in this episode work because we've had everything that's come before. Like, even back till season 1. Whereas like in the later seasons, there's no build up to that. Like things just happen because they happen.
Yeah. Like, is that they knew they had an ending, but like, I guess because there wasn't like an overall vision, whereas like Kripke was still in charge, like for all of this.
Yeah.
So I guess, did he say like at the time, that he was going to bow out at season 5?
That's a really good question. I can't remember.
Because if you know it's your last one,
yeah,
like you would want to finish the story that you want to tell. Whereas like, I feel like in season 15, they're like, well, you know, we're kind of stuck on repeat at this point. Like we can't really go anywhere further. So we're going to end it.
Yeah. The thing is, I feel like Kripke always said this is the vision that he had, they would end here. But it can't have always been the vision that he had because it changed after the writer's strike. So right. I guess it fit in close enough for him to be happy with it, you know? Like, it's close enough to my original vision. What's funny is this week I actually read some snippets of Kripke's like original pilot, you know, when they were still Sam and Dean Harrison. And okay, you'd love it. Like I'll link it to you. But for those who haven't read it, like John's already dead, like in the first episode. And Sam thinks that Dean's killed him.
That's a completely different start. Wow.
It's great. Like I'll try and find a complete version of it and link it. But it's good. But like if Kripke's already deviated that much from when they started like writing the pilot, I feel like he would have been happy to finish up kind of close to where he started from. I mean, that's just the world of like writing television, right? You don't get what you want.
You have to make a lot of compromises, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Especially back for network TV, at least, anyway.
Yeah.
Maybe not so much on streaming services.
Who knows now? Everything's so changed. It's so different now, like watching stuff on like streaming services. It's just not the same experience. I don't know. I'm a bit sad. I miss the old days. I feel like an old person.
Yeah, I kind of wish like seasons were like maybe not 8 episodes, maybe 15. Yeah. I feel like 22 is a little too long. Like 2022 is a little too long, but 15 is like a good sweet spot because it gives you enough time to like tell a story, but also put in those filler episodes.
I agree with you.
Want to.
Yeah, I agree with you actually, because I still watch loads of like medical and like hospital dramas. Like there's like 911, there's 911 Lone Star, like there's all that kind of stuff. Like Grey's and Station 19 still do the network format, but they have cut them down to more like between 15 to 18 episodes, and it feels okay. Like it's good enough. But sometimes I do get to the end of the season, I'm like, well, where's the rest?
Yeah. So, I mean, coming back to the episode a little bit, but like this is an episode that I would love to show somebody who has never watched Supernatural. But the thing is, there's so much in it that like you wouldn't be able to get any of the context, and like you might be able to appreciate what's happening and like how everybody performs, but like Adam's performance, Jake Abel, like you wouldn't be able to understand why that's so like jarring to see.
Yeah.
Or like the smiminess of Zachariah, like it's all led up to this point for him. And like, you know, the whole bit was Dean and Cas, like that, none of that would have much of an effect on you. Yeah. But it's such a good episode to like shows to like, okay, this is what supernatural storytelling can be.
Yeah, it's you're right. This episode like narrows all their relationships down to like a point. And the dynamic between them is all perfect. And it's every single character in this. It's like Bobby and Dean, like you see that dynamic, like Dean and Sam, like their whole thing that they've got going on. Like it's just perfect. I would show someone this to like get them into Supernatural and say, right, this was great, right? So to understand it now, go back and watch it from the beginning.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the teaser to get you into watching the season. and it's not just like, oh, this is a really funny episode. It's like, actually, this is you'll get this, like this kind of level of writing, acting, whatever, directing, but you also have to go through everything else to like kind of get there.
You have to earn it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm giving this to you for free, and you'll have to buy the rest. Oh, but it was so good. It was so good. Oh, yeah. This is why season 5 was so good, because we have episodes like, I mean, we've had some other really good episodes recently as well.
Yeah.
But I know we've had a couple stinkers in there too. But but this made it all worth it. For sure. God, that's so good. It's so good. All right. We should get into it because there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
And we're already, like, I'm already gushing about it so much. That, yes. Yeah. So, the recap starts with Zachariah's speech from 5:16, which was, I can't remember, Dark Side of the Moon.
Yeah.
It's also Adam's introduction, or his introduction as a ghoul, and Dean finding him dead.
Yeah.
Joshua talking about how like Dean is losing faith in everybody. And while this is happening, like the confrontation between Lucifer and Sam and Dean in Abandon All Hope is going on. So it's just like, yeah, look at this. You're in a dire situation. Thanks. And then it's the end of last week's episode where Sam's like, are you okay? You're not going to do something Michael stupid. And then we get like the kiss and dismiss from Lisa, which I was thinking about it today.
Yeah.
Isn't the speech that he gave, like Dean gave, pretty much the exact thing that Cass says in Despair? Like, my life when I think about my life being happy, it's with you. Isn't that essentially the same thing he said in Despair?
This is the thing. This is my whole thing about the people who say that confession wasn't a romantic confession, because there have been romantic confessions in Supernatural that mirror that exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's very similar. Like, yeah. That's all I'm going to say about that. It's like the parallels are there. Like, if you can't see them, then I don't know. I don't know what to say to you anymore.
Exactly. And then this episode happens. I'm like, huh. Okay.
Yeah. I see it now. I put on my specs.
Exactly. My eyes have been opened. So we then cut to a bar and Zachariah is drinking, and a guy named Stuart is there, and he's just like, oh, pink slip. And he's like, oh, that obvious. And they sort of chat back and forth, and, they're having old man pain over losing jobs.
I do love, like, the whole bit, because, like, it is good that they're both just, like, company men, towing the company line and putting up with the crap from, like, it's great. Exactly.
And then, like, but it kind of goes off the rails when Zachariah says, in the mud, nose to nose with you pig filthy humans. And the guy's like, absolutely. And then he's like, wait, what? And I mean, Zachariah is using this man like I'd imagine God, Chuck, uses Joshua, like I was saying, on Dark Side of the Moon, just someone to complain to.
Yeah. If I had been talking to Zachariah in a bar and he was like calling everyone like pig filthy humans, I'd just assume he like worked in customer service. Like, I don't feel like it would like click for me.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're actually right. Yeah, that's very true. So they introduce themselves. He calls himself Zach and Stuart, and he asks, what are you going to do next? And he says, I don't know, something with the internet. And then, like, the whole building starts to shake, and he's like, whoa, earthquake. He's like, no, my boss, because there's a bright light that comes in, Zachariah's like, okay, just, go ahead, get ready. I'm ready. Stuart and the bartender both get killed. Their eyes get completely burned out. And Zachariah's basically offered his job back. We don't know the terms of his deal. We don't know who he's talking to, but I presume it's Michael.
Yes,
Or it could be Noah. Or it could be Naomi, but we haven't met her yet.
Ooh. Yeah, it could be. Someone in the upper echelons of the angel hierarchy, yeah.
Exactly. And Zachariah's like, oh yes, back in business, boys. It feels very Crowley, actually.
Yeah. There's a few times in this episode, actually, that I feel like angels and demons could be swapped and, like, you wouldn't really notice. Yeah. I think that's the point as well, that they're both just bad guys.
Exactly. And then Zachariah grabs his drink that he abandoned on the bar and takes a drink and then walks out. And that's the title card.
Is that right noise? Or is it a splat?
Yeah, close enough.
I can't remember if this is a one or not.
I think it's a mixture of the two.
Yeah, I feel like it.
I don't pay attention anymore. Unless it's the beginning of the season, then I'm like, oh, do I like this intro? Yeah, I do like this intro.
Yeah, it's fine. So we go to a motel where Dean is, and he's packing all his stuff up. So, like, his leather jacket goes in the box. His gun, the, like, pearl-handled gun goes in. His keys. Is that the keys to the Impala? I presume so.
I presume so too, yeah.
That one just gives me the shivers. Like, I don't like that. No.
Yeah.
And then he packages it all up and writes on the front, like, it's for Robert Singer. I love that he's posting it to his full name. Like, you don't need to do that. He could have, anyway, whatever. And then Sam walks in, like, ding dong. He just, like, walks in. Dean is... Now, I will say, up to this point, seeing him, like, pack everything away, we see him, like, drinking. There's a kind of montage of Dean drinking whiskey. And there was something about this that made me feel like he was at rock bottom. And I was like, I watched it back again, and I was like, what is it? Like, what's compared to his normal drinking? And I realised he's drinking whiskey out of one of those plastic hotel cups, and I feel like that might be rock bottom. I wouldn't even drink water out of those. They're disgusting.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. And it's like he's sort of switching between the two. Mm-hmm. Like, sometimes it's out of the bottle, sometimes it's out of this cup. And, like, I think you're right. The shot where it's, like, closest and he's drinking out of it, I was just like, oh, Dean.
Dean. A motel plastic cup. They don't clean those. I mean, the alcohol content alone. But yeah, you can tell that he's in a really bad place. Like, again, and getting everything. I mean, we know it anyway from last episode. He's basically doing his, like, goodbyes to everybody because he doesn't think he's coming back from saying yes to Michael.
Yeah.
So he is genuinely surprised when Sam walks through the door. Like, his face, he's kind of, like, mad, but, like, a little bit impressed and also a bit sad. There's a lot going on. So Sam does say, like, oh, you're planning to kill yourself because it's not, this is your farewell tour. That's how I tracked you. Like, it's not too hard to realize that you're going to go say goodbye to Lisa. Mm-hmm. And Dean's like, well, no, I'm not. Like, that's not the plan. I don't think Sam sees the difference between that and saying yes to Michael because Dean would be gone.
Yeah.
Right?
In all senses, yeah. For all intents and purposes, yeah.
There is one thing that Carver does in this episode that does annoy me just a little bit. Is, like, there's these, like, quippy lines in serious moments. Like, Sam says here, like, so Michael's not about to make you his Muppet, which is kind of funny. But, like, also, like, they're having a very serious conversation.
Yeah. But at the same time, that is how they talk to each other.
Yeah, it's true. I think the problem is like, I saw this Tumblr post once that said a Supernatural remake with the Muppets would be really great, where everyone is a Muppet except Castiel. And like, it just made me think of that. So basically Dean goes like, well, yeah, that's what I'm doing. Like, I'm going to go say yes to Michael. And Sam is questioning like how we could even think about doing that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
How could you do that? How could I? All you've ever done is run away.
And I was wrong. Every single time I did.
It's true, though.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
They really hurt each other in this episode. Like, there is knives out.
Yeah, there are many knives. I don't think any of them are lying down comfortably anytime soon.
No. Sam lies to Dean. Like, you can tell on his face an outright lie. 'Cause he's like, well, Bobby's working on something. And Dean is like, what? Because we know there's nothing.
Well, before that, he says, and I was wrong every time I did.
You're right, yeah. So this season's been a big turning point for Sam. I think he has kind of started to realise that he can't run away from his problems and like away from Dean. It's almost like they've switched mindsets at some point. I don't quite know exactly when it happened. That Sam's like, family, family, family. We can only do this if we stick together. And Dean's like, I think family was the thing that got us in this mess in the first place.
I think it's the beginning of season 5. I think from the very beginning, because it was whose suggestion was it? I guess it was it was Sam's suggestion to leave at the beginning in episode 2. But like, Dean didn't try to go get him.
I mean, there's a conversation later which I'll expand on this more, but Dean chose to get like back together with Sam after their breakup because he went into the future and saw that they could that being apart was going to lead to the apocalypse still happening without the side of good. I say good in inverted commas, like him being there. So you would think he would still want to stick together. I think the problem is, and again, like he does say this later on, that through the things that have happened through the season since the end, he can't see any future in which Sam doesn't say yes. So, yeah, it's been a lot leading up to this.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So, yeah, you know, Sam says, you know, Bobby's working on something, and Dean's like, well, you've got nothing and you know it. And then Sam's like, well, you know, I have to stop you. Again, echoing Dean in like maybe season 2. I can't quite remember, but he definitely says those exact words to him at some point about his powers and, you know, all that kind of stuff.
I mean, I think it was even season 4 because of this reference.
Yes, very true, yeah. Because Dean said, yeah, well, you know, you can try and stop me, but just remember, you're not all hopped up on demon blood this time. Yes, it was that fight they had in the hotel.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a horrible fight. I still think about that. It was horrible.
Yeah, it's not good.
So Sam brought help. Dean turns around, Cass is there, and he just like whammies him on the forehead. Just like bang. Originally, I thought he teleported him, but I think he just made him pass out. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know either.
There is a cut here. We go to Bobby's like house, and Dean's mad. So that there definitely has. I reckon it's been like a few days of them sitting around trying to do studying.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, like it's been longer than him just appearing. Because yeah, Sam said, "Oh yeah, we have a plan." Then they've just sat around trying to find whatever plan he was making up that they had. So Dean does call it out. He says, like, this is no good. You know, we've had 8 months of turned pages and screwed pooches, but tonight's when the magic happens. Get one of those rare moments in Supernatural when we figure out how much time has passed since they, like, started the apocalypse.
Yeah.
It's only been 8 months.
It feels so much longer.
So much longer. It probably feels long for them, but, like, it feels long for me. Like, oh, really?
Yeah.
It hasn't ended already?
I mean, I can see why Dean's given up. 8 months of this constant on your brain. Like, yeah.
Man. So Bobby's like, you're not helping, and he's like, well, I'll just leave then. They're like, no. Like they've had this argument many times.
Yeah.
So Dean's perspective is that, Bobby asks, like, reality, he says, reality happened. This is why I want to do this. Nuclear is the only option we have left. Michael can ice the devil, save a boatload of people. Which Bobby says, like, not all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Is it bad that I'm kind of on Dean's side on this? I feel like he maybe should have said yes to Michael.
Yeah. I mean, for everything that happens after this, then absolutely, yeah. So yes, Michael would have, like, saved a lot. But I don't know. Because, like, if we're going biblical apocalypse, not everybody's going to go to heaven, right? So that means everybody else is going to hell. No matter, like, so if everybody's going to die, like, in the apocalypse, that's the thing. It's like, yeah, everybody's going to die, but not in the apocalypse by not saying yes. By not saying yes to Michael. So, like, the angels and demons just, like, battling it out on Earth without the apocalypse happening doesn't condemn as many people. Because, like, if you, with the 4 horsemen and, like, the Whore of Babylon, like, they're trying to convert, like, they are trying to damn as many souls as they can.
This all makes actually a bit more sense next season when we find out that souls are, like, sort of like generating power, so you kind of understand why they're trying to convert people to their side, because they're actually, like, it's like an arsenal, right? They're trying to, like, build up it's not explained in season 5, so I don't think they thought of that idea yet. They were just going with the biblical apocalypse. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So not everybody is, like, condemned. Like, they have an opportunity afterwards to redeem themselves, so they could go to heaven. Or whatever.
I guess that's it. Like, if we do have the apocalypse, like, if Dean says yes to Michael and then, like, he ends up having to fight, like, Lucifer, that's the Earth over, right? Like, that plane is over. It'll just be him. Yeah, okay, fine. I'm now on Sam's side.
And also, we've seen Apocalypse World, so we know what happens when the angels take over.
Well, this was the point I was going to make, actually, because I feel like we should have had it, because we saw Apocalypse World, but that was a world in which Sam and Dean had never existed, but they still fought, right? And we saw that, it was bad. But I feel like they should have at some point visited a world in which they had both said yes, and then saw that was the worst option. So they kind of ultimately made the right decision. Or, even more hilariously, it actually all turned out, like, for the better. And then they get to see that.
Like, they were wrong the entire time.
Yeah, I don't know which would be, like, more funny to me.
Well, I guess, that kind of humor was actually is in the AU version of Sam and Dean that we see, where they're, like, billionaires. Yeah. Because John is a marketing genius somehow. So, like, yeah. I mean, that would have been so funny to see that, like, the, like, peace on Earth that was supposed to happen actually happened.
I know, right? Yeah. Do you think that universe actually exists? Do you think there is any universe where Dean actually did end up saying yes to Michael? I don't know. I think he's too stubborn. I mean, I know he does, like, later in, like, season 10 or whatever, whenever that was, that glomp of season, but I don't count it. It was for stupid reasons.
I do think so. Because there's a reason why God likes this universe at the end of the series. Like, he's going about destroying all of the other ones because they're no longer fun, right? Oh, that was the kind of sentiment I got. Yeah. So I'd imagine in those, either Sam and Dean don't exist or they are somehow not quite right to host Michael and Lucifer.
I think it's more sorry. Because I agree with you. I think the thing is with this the ultimate thing that comes out of that, isn't it? That the reason that they're so defiant almost is partly Cass's fault.
Mm-hmm.
So like,
this fight.
Yeah, exactly. So okay, well, I mean, we'll explore that more. I'll try and get through a bit more of this. I'm so sorry.
This is going to be a long one, guys.
I know.
Just deal with it.
So yeah, Bobby says, well, we can't save everyone if you say yes to Michael. And Dean's like, well, you know, that's easy for you to say. If Lucifer burns his mother down, I could have done something about it. Guess what? That's on me. And again, like going back to the episode where he was in the like mental institute and saying like, why's the burden to save everybody? Like it's my burden.
You can't give up, son.
You're not my father. And you ain't in my shoes.
This hurt me so much, deep in my soul. Bobby looks so hurt, and even Sam gives Dean a look like, dude, that was our line.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Especially like, you know, there was just a few episodes ago where Dean was being so protective of Bobby against his zombie wife.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oof.
He's just in such a low place at the moment that he's trying to push everyone away so they'll stop caring enough to stop him from doing what he wants to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So Bobby pulls a gun out of his desk and a bullet. And when Dean asks what it is, he says, you know, this is the round where I basically was planning to kill myself. I presume since he's been in a wheelchair, like Bobby's not taken to that very well at all.
Yeah.
And he says, every morning I look at it and I think maybe today's the day, but I don't do it. I never do it. This was so emotional. You know why? Because I promised you I wouldn't give up. And he's such a good actor. Like,
yep.
Jim Beaver, perfect. I was nearly crying. It was so like emotional.
Mm-hmm.
And then they get interrupted by a phone call. Yes, it's a celestial phone call, but it's still a phone call. I'm counting it. It's ridiculous.
Yep.
Because Cas like grabs his head, like Sam does when he's getting a vision, and he just says, "Sorry."
So I'm assuming at this point, like he's not. We know that he's no longer in touch with Angel Radio, right? That's kind of gone.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if it like the activity was basically too loud that there was no way for him not to be like taken over by it, and that's why he's like hunched over in pain. Because like, why would he ever be in pain from Angel Radio?
Yeah, he like felt a disturbance in the force. Like that's how I kind of took it. Like when Alderaan blew up and everyone was like, "Ouch!" Yeah.
Exactly like that.
And so he just says something happened and then whizzes out. I appreciate every time that Cas like appears and disappears in Bobby's house, just pages fly everywhere.
Yeah, that was really good.
So Cas appears in the wood and all these trees are like blasted down. It looks exactly like Dean's grave did in Lazarus Rising. Like there's an epicenter of an explosion and he sees some soil moving. Yeah, some angels attack him. And he ultimately, like, helps pull Adam out of the ground. While this happens, Dean is, like, really cold to Sam. He's, like, going to the kitchen. And he's like, get out the way. I need to get a beer. Like, so he's, you know, like, older brother, like, dick. And then Cas appears with Adam and just says, help. And Bobby shouts, boys. And they kind of put him down on the on this like chaise longue.
Well, no, it's like a bed next to the window. Is that an actual bed?
Isn't that the bed that like Bobby's zombie wife died in?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And they're like, oh yeah, it's Adam. He's our brother. I will say one thing for this. This is the one bad thing in this episode. What was going on with the mud makeup? Because they just gave Adam like a mask, like an eye mask made of mud.
Yeah, that was really weird. Like, season 1 did it better. Like, you know, when a pilot did it the best.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know. It was very, very strange. And like, it was like speckled.
It also, I swear, like they have a continuity problem with it because I'm sure it changed between shots. Like,
Oh yeah, for
I
sure.
feel like when they first bring him here, he has like a really like thick eye mask of mud and like nowhere really else in his face. And then when they come back, it's like they realize they kind of look a bit stupid, so they kind of like spread it out a bit more. Angels really are dicks, though, aren't they? Like they'll resurrect you, but then like leave you to like crawl out of your own grave. Like,
Yeah.
why? They could easily just take you out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And for Adam, it would have been scary. I mean, did they burn Adam? I can't.
Yeah,
they
they
did. So
Mm-hmm.
there was no need for him to appear in the dirt. He could have just been
Nope.
in the forest. It's cruel.
Yep.
Now, Zachariah, well,
Mhm.
I'm presuming that Zachariah brought him back.
More than likely, yeah.
I mean, it was easier than the job Cass had because Adam wasn't in hell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Adam was already in heaven. So we come back and it's like Adam's now properly laid out on the bed, like passed out. And Bobby's like, wait, your brother, Adam? And Dean says, Cass, what the hell? And it's like, angels. But they need to hide. They need to hide him. I didn't realize what he was doing until right now. Because Cass puts his hand on his chest and like Adam like wakes up. I thought he was because like he was out cold or something, and like, you know, because he does the whole like
Yeah.
thing that they do when they get like when Sam and Dean died at the end of last week's episode or the episode before. You know, they both woke up in the same way.
Yeah.
So I was like, he's coming back from the dead, like actually coming back from the dead, like he's alive but not quite. And then Cass, but no, he's burning his ribs.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
I was like, later on in the episode, I was like, wait, when did they burn their rib? I was like, oh, right here.
You're gonna find this a lot crazy, but we're actually your brothers.
It's the truth. John Winchester is our father, too. See, I'm Sam.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's Dean.
I don't think I fully appreciated like the first time I watched Supernatural, like what a good job Jake Abel did playing Adam, because it comes across in this episode, I feel like he must have studied how Jensen plays Dean, because
He's a mini Dean.
he's a mini Dean. Like Adam has so many of his mannerisms, and it's really good.
It is.
I mean, some of it's the costume department because he is dressed like a mini Dean too, like his hair. But yeah, like you can see why he's also Michael's vessel. Like you can see the bloodline. I do also think it plays into the whole like John isn't really Sam's dad, like conspiracy theory. Because like you look at John, you look at Dean, you look at Adam, and you're like, yeah, they're related. Now you look at Sam, and you're like,
Mary, who were you with? I do wonder if that's the reason for what was his name? The guy they cast for John Winchester in the Winchesters. I can't remember what his name is, because he looks more like Sam.
yeah,
Like he's got the right
does.
colouring.
You're right, he does. I never really thought of that. That's pretty good. There's a good convention question. Ask. Wait, did you cast young John Winchester to get rid of the conspiracy theory that John wasn't Sam's dad?
And that's the real reason why Sam is more like John, because he's trying to be like John.
Yeah.
To convince himself that he is his son.
This is what I mean. Like, there's so much complexity there. I mean, it works into the whole, like, Sam is the black sheep of the family, you know, all this kind of stuff. But yeah, also his whole personality.
At the same time, you are not the personality of your parents, so...
Not unless you're, like,
There is that.
actively trying to emulate them as these people do. Well, I mean, Dean did for a long time, and now I feel like he's found himself. He turned 30 and he was like, I'm going to be my own man.
Which I feel is the same for everybody, to be honest.
Exactly.
Turn 30, you're just like, you know what? I've lived long enough now. I can be whoever I want to be.
Yeah, his 30s are great. And then Sam's still like, yeah, he's in his 20s. He still doesn't know. So he's just emulating John Winchester, but also like hating himself for doing it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Dean wants Adam to explain what happened to him.
Mm-hmm.
He says, well, I was dead. I was in heaven, except it kind of looked like my prom and I was making out with this girl. Dean's like, yeah, it sounds like heaven. Did you get to third base? And Sam's like, what's going on here? Kind of thing.
It's not the time, man.
Yeah, no, it's not the time. And he says, these angels popped out of nowhere and they told me that I was chosen, and he was chosen to save the world by saying, you know, that me and this archangel are going to kill the devil, and it's going to be Michael. He's like, I'm his sword or vessel or something. I don't know.
Well, that's insane.
Not necessarily.
How do you mean?
Maybe they're moving on from you, Dean.
Well, that doesn't make sense.
He's John Winchester's bloodline. Sam's brother.
The shots in this are really nice. I don't know why they chose to do it, but I appreciate the aesthetic.
Mm-hmm.
Like, while Dean is talking to Adam in this, he's like sitting backwards on a chair with his like arms crossed, with Cas literally on his shoulder. That's what I'm saying. But it's like he's in the foreground and Cas is in the background. It's just a really nice shot, and they obviously set it up and liked it because they used it for this whole conversation.
They really do, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was really good, actually. This whole episode, Phil Shagrisha always does a really good job.
Yeah, he does.
But this was like really well done.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, this whole episode was just really well done. So Cas says, you know, they may be desperate, maybe they wrongly assume. I love the way that Jeremy Carver cast in this episode. It's like maybe they wrongly assumed Dean would be brave enough to withstand them. And Dean just turns around and goes, you know what? Blow me, Cas. And I was like, hell yeah.
It's that famous outtake, isn't it, where he's just like, that's that scene.
There's a lot. I feel like a lot of the outtakes come from this episode, and it makes sense because it's quite an intense episode, but yeah.
If no one knows, I made a rude gesture to the camera. I feel like I remember that was on a podcast.
Yes, it was the whole like stick your tongue in your cheek thing. I did the exact same thing. In
We're both
scene. So, Sam is like thoroughly pissed off. He's like, what happened to everything? Like all this crap about destiny. Suddenly the angels have a plan B. Does that smell right to anybody? And Adam, with his full Winchester attitude, is like, well, this has been moving, like, but I've got a thing. And Sam's like, no. Sit down. Just listen. There's something the way that Jared is acting in this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about like the way he talks in this is so different to how he normally does. It's like he's almost pouting the entire time. Did you notice that?
I feel like
And he only does it in the scene.
Yeah, I feel like I know what you mean. It's very like, this sounds really bad. I feel like it's like he's acting how Sam would act, like acting. There's like a third wall here. They're like acting like Sam would act. Like the puppy dog eyes are like on extreme, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It feels very Sam, but it is almost like he's performing. But
Yeah.
I think it's because I know what it is.
What's that?
He's acting like being a big brother. So he's doing a deed.
Oh my god, you're right. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Because we know he already has those feelings towards Adam because he showed those in that episode.
Yeah.
Like he wanted to take over and like teach him how to shoot and teach him how to do this, that, and the other. And it's just like, and I'm wondering how much of that is playing on his mind right now, thinking that the ghoul's personality was Adam's personality.
Yeah. Well, that's it. Adam's at a disadvantage here because they feel like they already know him, but in fact they've never met. They've never met.
Never. Yep.
So that they automatically assume like, oh, he's our brother, he will think how we think, like, you know, blood's very strong, so he must have similar personality traits. Whereas like Adam's just come back from the dead after being eaten alive. Like, why would he care? Like, why would he care about the Earth?
Exactly.
There's no reason for him to have any stakes in what's going on with them at all.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Sam's trying to convince Adam that the angels are lying, and he's like, well, you know, they're angels, what they wouldn't lie. And that, you know, they're going to roast half the planet, and he's like, well, they told me that the fight was going to get pretty hairy, but it's the devil, you know, we got to stop him. They'll find another way, and Dean interrupts to say, yeah, we're working on the power of love. That's great. This little exchange is like, how's that going? He's like, not good. So great.
They're just vibing on a snarky Winchester level.
If anything, like, you should trust this other brother, because he's like being quite straight with you about it being like a shit idea right now.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't understand why. No, I was going to say, I don't understand why Adam and Dean don't get on better in this episode, kind of like against Sam, but also like, you don't like people who are that similar to you. It's too much of a mirror. No.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Sam again tries to convince him, but you know, just trust me, as in Sam. Give us some time, and he's like, give us one good reason. And Sam tries to use the like, we're blood. And he's like, you've got no right to say that to me.
You're still John's boy.
No, John Winchester was some guy who took me to a baseball game once a year. I don't have a dad. So we may be blood, but we are not family.
If this was season 3, Dean, he would have gone off on Adam right now, right? He would have been so pissed that he was like, yeah, we may be blood, but we're not family. Like, that can't. But then he's also exactly like Dean, because he's like, my mum is my family.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's the same thing for Dean.
I mean, it's what he said is like the opposite of what Bobby said, right? Isn't it? It's like family doesn't end in blood. He's saying blood doesn't make family. So, yeah. I kind of like it, because I do also appreciate the fact that, like, just because you're related doesn't mean you have to, like, care sometimes. That sounds awful, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, I do get what you mean, because it's like,
you're not indebted to your family, right?
Right,
but
exactly.
For having like sharing genetic information, like, they don't own you because you yeah. So that's why I like Bobby's thing of like, you make your own family, and I agree with what Adam says here. It's like, yeah, just because you're related, I don't owe you anything. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah, and especially since he's promised to see who he considers family, which is his mum. Like,
yeah.
You know, if he does his job, he gets to see her again. And, you know, he doesn't care about them. And, like, cause she's the one he cares about, not them.
Yeah.
And then he's like, if you have one good memory of dad, just one, then give us a little bit more time. So it's like, he literally just said he took him to baseball games once a year. Like,
do you feel like...
What are you talking about, Sam?
Do you like Dean internally was like, I knew he was a deadbeat. Like, because he was so mad when he found that picture of him like taking to a baseball game. It's like, I can't believe he was going and like being a father to other people, to find out that it was just like just that time. He was like, yeah.
Like, literally, he would come by once a year and that was it.
Yeah.
Like, good dad right there. So it kind of cuts to a little bit later, and Adam's like playing with his food, like it's unimpressed by his like PB&J, looks like, maybe. I don't know. It's probably about the only thing that they all can cook together.
Right.
Between all of them. So Bobby is like at his desk and he turns around to get a book, and Adam sees the opportunity to leave, but Sam like pops up and is like, going somewhere? It's like, yeah, a beer. He's like, great, we have beer here, have a seat. Adam's like, you know, you pitched your whole dewy-eyed bromance thing, but the truth is, I'm on lockdown, aren't I?
They make several references to the bromance in this episode. Like, I enjoy all of them.
Me too. Sam's like trying to appeal to him as brothers. And he's like, you may not believe it, but Dad was trying to protect you, keeping you away from all of this. He's like, well, he didn't really do that. You know, the monster that ate me didn't get that memo. And I was thinking about this.
Yeah.
Like, has Sam experienced a violent death?
He did get stabbed that time.
When?
Season 2. He died because he got stabbed.
Yeah, but that's not... I'm talking like
torn
Adam
apart.
got eaten alive. Like,
Yeah.
Dean got torn apart by hellhounds. Like, in terms of, like, his deaths, he's had pretty, like, reasonable ones. Like, I don't think he's ever exploded.
I love this. Yeah.
Like, he's not had... I mean, so how can you... things you say about when talking about sick people. He's not had a traumatic death.
He's like insta died like every time. There was that lightning.
Yeah.
And then he got stabbed. And then, he did get shot. He got shot by those hunters.
Mm-hmm.
But again, he's sort of like instant. This is such a bad conversation. Yeah, no, I agree with you. Is there any point that he like really? Because not being funny, but like Dean always ends up like real bleeding out, like sorrowful. 10 minutes to say goodbye. Right. I mean, every time.
Sam just gets the light switch turned off.
Yeah, right. Or, dogs. You know what? I think Dean's the only person, like, who got killed by dogs twice. Like, because that golden retriever, too, in Mystery Spot.
True.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't feel he fully understands what it would be like to be eaten by a ghoul, but I feel like Dean does fully understand what it'd like to be eaten by a ghoul.
Yeah, so really the wrong brother is talking to him right now.
Yeah. Like, Adam's got some trauma that he needs to unpack with someone who maybe would understand.
Exactly. And, I mean, it begs the question of... Well, I guess... No, it doesn't really, because we kind of know that. Because everybody remembers how they died.
They do if they're allowed to remember, because they did allude to the fact they've been there multiple times before, and Dean doesn't remember any of the ways he died in Mystery Spot.
True. Mm-hmm. True. I didn't think about that. Maybe it's when you come back that you remember.
Yeah.
I mean, even Mary dies violently again.
Right? Sam gets off relatively easy. He did go to hell for like 10,000 years or however long it was, so like I guess it evens out.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, fine. Fine. But he wasn't tortured in hell.
I think it's pretty
apart from being with Lucer.
Yeah, I think it pretty much implies that he was, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sam tries to connect with him with like trauma bonding about John Winchester. Yeah. If the worst thing is seeing Dad once a year, imagine seeing him all year. So it's like, and Adam doesn't believe him. He's like, you're full of crap. Mm-hmm. It was just me and my mom. That's it. She worked graveyard shift at the hospital. I cooked my own dinners. I put myself to bed. So you can say whatever you want about our dad, but the truth is, I would have taken anything. Mm. The thing is, I kind of wish they expanded on this a little bit, because this is exactly the life that they had. Like, I think it's reinforcing that John Winchester was not a good dad to any of his children. Right.
And actually, like, although they had to grow up hunting, at least Sam had Dean, whereas Adam was by himself, like, latchkey kid. Although his mum's trying to do the best for him by, working and, yeah. But he grew up, like, it sounds like he grew up lonely.
Right, exactly. Mm. At the same time, yes, it was lonely, but it was stable. By the sounds of it, like, we don't know exactly, but the fact that his mum is a nurse means that she probably was doing okay. Yeah. Like, it wasn't like she had to work 3 jobs and like never saw him. But it, he got to have friends. He got to go to prom. He got to do
that's true.
A lot of the things that they would have loved to have done in their place.
Yeah, especially Sam. Like, Sam's always wanted that normalcy.
Yeah.
And it does bring me back to, like, Sam saying, oh, John was just trying to keep you safe. And I don't necessarily think that's true. I feel like this little family was almost like a vacation for John, away from his hunting obsession, of to go be normal for a weekend and take a son that, like, doesn't either idolize or hate him to a baseball game.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It just feels like John, like, using another son for a purpose, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I agree. No.
That's one thing I do like about Carver's writing, is that he agrees with us that John was a bad dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every time that comes up.
Yeah.
It's never like, oh, he was just trying to do his best, and it's like, no, he was a terrible, terrible father, and, like, abused his children.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All of them. And Sam's like, we would have come get you if we knew who you were. And Adam's just not having it.
We gonna hop in the family truckster? Pop on down to Wally World.
Oh no, I was going to say, like, do you think Sam tells a lot of lies in this episode? I feel like this is another lie. I don't think they would have gone to get Adam because they wouldn't have wanted to drag him into hunting.
Yeah, no.
Anyway.
I think Dean would have wanted to.
Yeah.
Like, had this been, again, an earlier season and not this point in this season, I think, yes, Dean would have wanted to go find him and be like, just to be the older brother again.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And, like, again, like, I don't know.
We need to teach him to protect himself.
Yeah, that kind of attitude. Whereas Sam would have been like, no, we need to leave him alone. If Dad didn't want it, then we shouldn't do it. And again, but at what point would have they gone to get him? Because Sam was off in Stanford, Dean was off hunting, and then when they come back together, it's been pretty much apocalypse after apocalypse. Like,
exactly, like, he'd need dragging into this. I don't know. It just seemed like fine.
Exactly. Sam walks off and, like, makes a comment to Dean.
Tell you one thing. Attitude like that, you'd fit right in around here.
I don't know if that's a compliment at this point.
It's not, but it's also, like, clearly our family ties run deep because you're as sarcastic as my brother.
Exactly. So we're down in the paddock room.
Oh, Cas, not for nothing, but the last person who looked at me like that, I got laid.
Because Dean has given him the stink eye, and I was just like, all right then.
It's so funny to me that the face that Cas does, I don't know, this, like, it's supposed to be stern, but it's just funny.
It is. I don't think Dean, I don't know if Misha knows how to do stern.
No, he does though. He does. We've seen it. Maybe we see him do it later on. He can do the whole, like, badass angel thing. I just feel like he can't do it with Dean. I mean, he kind of, I don't know.
Wait, you've also got to remember who's on set with him right now.
That's true.
How much fuckery do you think has happened just before this, like, came on? Like, with Jared and Jensen just being total.
You've just got to use
faces.
it. You've got to use it.
Exactly. Sam dismisses Cas and tells him to go keep an eye on Adam. And they have a conversation. Sam says, we got our hands full, we got a house full of flight risks. And Dean's like, well, I'm not going to let him do it. And Sam says, no, I'm not either. And Dean's like, no, you're not getting me. He's like, oh, I'll get you perfectly, but I'm not letting you do this either. Dean goes, we can obviously see where Dean's mindset is, because he's like, I'm serious. Like, we've let so many people get killed. I don't know why he's blaming himself for Mary.
Dean Winchester.
I don't know why he's blaming himself for John.
Dean Winchester.
Either. He even ropes in Jessica into this, like, as if he knew her, which is wild.
I do feel like at this point he's talking collectively. Like, him and Sam have got a lot of people killed by just simply existing in the world. Which, to be fair, we have called them out on.
But that's the nature of TV, isn't it?
Yeah. That they go to places and make things worse. Like, that's what happens. And now they made the whole world worse. So, sorry about it.
Yeah. Sorry, not sorry. And again, Dean reiterates that he's tired. You know, he's tired of fighting, you know, who he's supposed to be. Sam calls him out and says, you know, if you stop for half a second and stop trying to sacrifice yourself for a change, you know, maybe we'll stick together. Maybe we could actually stick together. And Sam's asking why can't they stick together? He says, I just don't believe. He doesn't believe in Sam anymore. He doesn't know what he'll be tempted by for him to say yes to Lucifer. And we've talked about it before. It's always going to be Sam's intelligence which will make him say yes, and that's basically what happens.
Yeah, I mean,
if I remember
Dean
correctly.
literally here says that he's basically too self-righteous.
Yeah.
To not say yes when push comes to shove. Which this is the same thing we've been saying, and that's how it pans out. And it's like I was saying earlier, like since I feel like Dean had hope. After Zachariah showed him the end, I feel like he had hope that if they stuck together and just nose to the grindstone, got to the nitty-gritty of the apocalypse, they could win. But like he said, it's been 8 months and they've gotten nowhere, and all they've seen is like horsemen rising, people dying. They don't know how to do anything. And he's just thinking, well, in the future, Sam said yes. And he doesn't know why Sam said yes in the future.
True.
So I feel like with losing hope that they're going to win the fight must come with like all this kind of feeling of non-belief in Sam. And again, it's not like there's not like this hasn't happened before.
Exactly. Like it happens all the time.
Yeah. And they do have faith in each other that they'll ultimately make the right decision. But sometimes the right decision is also the bad decision.
Yep. As we see all the time.
Yeah. Like I say it over and over again. Sam was always going to say yes for the right reason, right? He would think it was for the right reason. And
he used his powers for the right reason.
Yeah.
He was, as in trying to help people. Sam has definitely realized this because he said it in the last episode, like the road to heaven. It's not, the one before. The road to heaven wasn't paved with good intentions. Yeah. Like it's usually hell. So it's just like he understands that aspect of his personality. But the problem is that's who he is at his core. And there isn't much you can really change. Like in this episode, we see what Dean is to his core, that like he will say yes, but with stipulations and a backup plan. Yeah. Whereas Sam will say yes because he's a little bit self-absorbed and he thinks he's strong enough.
Yeah, he thinks he's strong enough. He thinks he's saving people. I mean, we have talked before about Dean being stuck in a narrative, but like Sam is just stuck. Like the conversation they have here, it's almost like Sam is realizing that he doesn't really have free will in this situation. Like it's always he's stuck in destiny, and Dean believes like that he can't become unstuck. Which is odd because Dean can get out of his destiny, right? He's decided not to say yes to Michael before, and he's shown that actually he can like say no. It just leads to what happened in the end.
Bad things.
Right?
Yeah.
So he can choose, he has a choice, right? Whether he's going to say yes or not. Sam doesn't have a choice. He's going to say yes no matter what. And I think that dawning realization is partly also what drives him to say yes. There's no getting out of this.
yeah, exactly. That's true. Like that, there has never been an alternative shown of Sam not saying yes. and what that looks like. Like, I do wonder what would have happened had... I mean, there's no reason for Zachariah to show Dean this scenario, but in the scenario where Dean says yes and Sam says no, like what that looks like.
It's an interesting one. For me, that would look more like the apocalypse world that we see later on. Like,
yeah.
Because I think Michael would have killed Sam. Maybe that's the only way that Sam wouldn't have said yes. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's the way out. One of them has to do it. Because if Dean had said yes to Michael, Sam would have done everything he could to get him out of that situation. I feel like, apart from say yes to Lucifer. I don't know.
But at the same time, we know that Michael is all for fighting Lucifer because it is written, because it is destiny. So he probably would pave the path to let Lucifer and Sam meet in some way.
Yeah.
I guess the only... So, okay, my brain is just writing a fanfic right now.
It's happening.
It's coming to me. So, the destined meeting happens because of whatever Michael does, right? And we know that the cult can't kill Lucifer, but there's nothing to say that an angel blade can't. And he does... Basically, what happens is, like the same as what happens in this episode, he does a sneaky stab and kills Lucifer. Kills Lucifer that
I would
way.
love that for Sam.
Yeah, right? How amazing would that be that like he gets to not only kill the devil, but his own devil?
Yeah. Okay, no. We talk about many injustices in Supernatural. Why didn't Sam get to kill Lucifer?
Right?
Right? Oh, sorry, but right?
I mean, you had a perfect opportunity there in what, 519?
Yeah.
It's right there.
It's right there.
1519?
It's right there. Okay, I'm adding that to the list of injustices. I can't believe that, actually. I actually can't believe... No, wait. I actually can't believe that, because... Okay, no, I'm mad about it now. That I've...
He gets tortured for 10,000 years and doesn't get to exact his revenge.
And that whole thing where he was like hallucinating him, and you know, we know that sometimes has problem with reality about knowing what's real and what's not. I feel like how cathartic would it have been to just like big old stab Lucifer? Like, come on. Can't believe that didn't happen.
I know.
End that arc.
Please.
This is the problem. There's no ending to the arc. It just goes on. Yeah. I'm adding it to the list.
You're getting strikes against you, Supernatural. Amy's coming after you. So coming back to the episode, to this really heartbreaking part.
Don't say that to me. Not you. Of all people.
And Dean's like, I don't want to, but it's the truth. And Satan will take you over, and that, like, there's got to be someone to fight him. And it's not going to be that kid, so it's got to be me. Sam, like, leaves Dean alone, like, closes the door and goes back upstairs to Bobby. And he's like, how's he doing? And Sam is so dejected. Just, like, everybody's attitude is, he's trying to be, like, the plucky, he's trying to be opposite. Well, no, he's always been optimistic. But he's trying to keep the optimism up. But everybody's attitude is bringing him down. He's just like, oh, guys, you're making it difficult.
I'm trying so hard to keep it together, and you're just like stabbing in the knives, like, right into my psyche. Yeah.
And Bobby then asks, like, how are you doing? And he's like, yeah, I guess. Like, he just like nods his head.
Keep on chugging. He's just chugging along.
Yeah, that's all you can do. All the movie references. Yeah. So back in the panic room, Cas goes to check on Dean, and he hears like a crash and looks through the like hole, and he thinks he's like hung himself or something. Yeah. I'm guessing because there's like a chair toppled over.
I didn't read like that, but yeah, you're right. That's dark.
Yeah. Because there's like no sheets on the bed or anything anymore.
Oh my God, you're right.
As well.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. And Dean says, Cas, turns and then shuts this like locker door, and there's the banishing symbol, and he like zaps Cas away, and Dean like escapes.
He so deserves that ass kicking that he gets. Like, I'm just...
I know, right?
The thing is, they don't really know what happens when they banish angels. And to do that to your friend...
Right? Rude.
Questionable behaviour.
I like to imagine they get like flicked off into the universe somewhere. Yeah. Like 1,000,000 miles from Earth.
I think they do. I think it does. I think they do actually say they just sort of like get sent to like a random location on Earth, just at the bottom of the ocean. I feel like Cas says that at some point. I can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, imagine if they like temporarily flick them to the empty. I mean, we don't know the empty exists now.
Yeah.
So I guess some time has passed, and Sam comes into Bobby's study, and Bobby's like, "Where's Cas?" And he's like, "He's flown to Oz." Yeah, Sam is not keeping it together. Sam's like getting his jacket, like, "I'm gonna go get Dean. You watch Adam." So Bobby's like, "Well, how?" Because he can kind of like, he's faster than I am. He said he's got a slight height advantage. I don't understand why they didn't just look at him in the panic room. Look, I feel like those bridges have been burned. Just put him in the panic room until the apocalypse is over. It's only supposed to be a few like days now. It's not going to be that long.
Yeah, exactly. So. Yeah. I guess Dean is better at like getting away, right? Maybe that's why they kept him in the panic room. Like, he's not going to be able to lockpick himself out of that. Whereas like they put him somewhere in Bobby's house, he's just going to be able to like jump out of a window or whatever.
Maybe you just need to like sit on him, just like. Yeah.
Just get like a spare wheelchair and like cuff him to it.
Just wheel him around. Oh dear.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. So yeah.
We know he has a straitjacket there because they used it on Sam.
That's true. Just cuff him to the table. Maybe a bit extreme, but I don't know. So Sam obviously has to go after him because Bobby can't really, and Cas is gone, so he goes. We see Adam is asleep, and it kind of cuts into his dream. We know it's a dream because it's all kind of hazy and there's no other people around. He's at a playground. So many of these happen at playgrounds.
I guess because they're easy locations.
Is it like kind of creepy when they're empty?
Oh god, yeah. Yeah.
So excuse me.
I was thinking more of the like spinny thing, but yeah.
Oh yeah. That's not the noise that makes. So yeah, he's looking out. He looks pretty happy, and Zachariah appears next to him, at like Cas style does to Dean. So Zachariah is like the angel on Adam's shoulder, which nobody wants that.
Nobody wants that.
He says to him, "Your mom's not coming." He goes, "This is the park where she took you on her day off, right? She's not coming, not yet, but she will soon." And Adam correctly guesses that he's Zachariah. And he's like, "I am, but you're not where you're supposed to be." And he goes, "I can't quite zero in on you. Let me take a wild guess. You're with Sam and Dean." And Zachariah's like, "Didn't we tell you about them?" And Adam's like, agrees. He says, "So you can't trust them, right? Sam and Dean Winchester are psychotically, irrationally, erotically codependent on each other." Jeremy Carver.
Yeah. And this is like, what was it, 2 episodes ago? He was coming on to their mum, like, dude, you have a thing for the Winchesters. Like, stop.
Who doesn't in this show? Like, honestly. Yeah. I'm gonna move on. So Adam's like, "Well, I don't know. They said a few things about you." And Zachariah says, "Well, really, trust me, kid. When the heat gets hot, they're not going to give a flying crap about you. Hell, they'd rather save each other's sweet bacon than save the planet. They're not your family." He goes, "Do you want to see your mum again or not?" Zachariah's kind of right. He's kind of right. A little bit right.
I don't know. Maybe a little bit, but we've also seen that they both care about Adam in some, not in the same extent that they care about each other, but Dean is already on the train to say yes. But he's even more determined now because Adam is the backup plan and he doesn't want another little brother getting like destroyed by angels.
I would agree with you if not for at the end of this episode, Dean literally carries Sam out before Adam even gets left behind. Like the metaphor there is a strong one. Because I think it's more like the whole reason the apocalypse is happening is because they were just constantly trying to save each other. I think that's what Zachariah is getting at, and like, it is becoming a little bit different now with Dean wanting to say yes, but I don't know. So we cut back and to Bobby's study, and Adam's like, and wakes up. On a random street at night, there's like a guy preaching the apocalypse is nigh, which like you would think he was maybe a little bit off his rocker, but actually it is. So like I feel like it's fine. And so Dean walks. Well, he's saying like the angels talk to me, and Dean walks up, and is like, "Hi, I'm Dean Winchester," and the guy, I love that the guy recognizes him, but also feel like it would have been funny if he didn't.
Yeah, right.
Like, who are you?
He's just a crap pot on the street.
Yeah, right. Like they confirm here that I guess the people who are preaching the apocalypse is nigh are communicating with angels in some way, and like.
Well, we had that in the end, right? It was that preacher outside that told them that where Zachariah was, and that's how. Told Zachariah where Dean was, and that's how they got him into the future. Quote unquote.
That's so true. I forgot about that. Huh.
Yeah, that's why he needed to go up to that preacher, because he knew that these fanatics are the ones who are actually getting
messages,
angel information.
Yeah. Maybe they're like celestially tuned into angel radio. Maybe they are vessels, like bloodline vessels.
Yeah. I mean, it would explain why they're all in suits, because this guy's in a suit.
Yeah, exactly. So they only have vessels in people who are suits. And who's going to be wearing a suit on the street? I was going to say Mormons, but that's probably very politically incorrect.
We've already made fun of the Mormons a couple episodes ago. We can't do it again.
We can't do it again. So, okay, I like that. Like, yeah, preachers and things. I feel like more angels should be wearing dog collars. Not the goth kind, the vicar kind. Surely, right?
The priest kind.
Yeah, the priest.
Yeah,
like I feel like more angels should be dressed as priests. If we establish here that they do talk to religious people, I mean, maybe they don't though. Maybe having communications with an angel leads you to wandering the street shouting the apocalypse is nigh. Kind of like Jimmy sticking his hand in the noodles.
But I mean, we have seen that those two instances of religious people, or few instances of religious people receiving the word of angels. Yeah. So it would beg to reason that you're right.
Yeah. I feel like they dropped this. I feel like they were maybe felt they were making fun, or they were maybe going to get some backlash later as they got more popular. I don't know. So
yeah, and I guess there isn't. Well, I was going to say there isn't enough religious people that, but there absolutely is. I think it's kind of interesting that when the angels fall, like it could, like I feel like it's more interesting that it could be anybody that could be a vessel rather than just religious people.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Well, yeah, it's like definitely up to this point, vessels are all people who have faith. Yeah. Huh. Never really thought about that before. Anyway, this Dean goes up to him and he's like, "Yes, I know who you are," and he like prays.
Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name.
You pray too loud.
Like whammies him, makes him go unconscious, and then drags Dean into an alley to just beat the crap out of him. Like, it's so good.
In any other situation, that would not be fighting.
Right.
Right? Like, I was watching that entire thing. I was like, when are they going to kiss? When are they going to kiss? When are they going to kiss?
Like, the things that Cas is saying to him, he sounds like someone who's got into a relationship and is now realizing they made a mistake.
Yes, 100%. That is what is going on.
It is. Like, okay, you know, I rebelled for this. I'm like, they're just so close. They're just so close. I know, like, in a fight you get close.
Mm-hmm.
Is there some kind of trope about, like, fighting rather than, you know... I feel like that's a thing.
Yeah, of course.
That's definitely.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
I see you, Jeremy Carver. I see you. Yeah, so he's like, you know, I rebelled for all of this, so you could surrender to them. And Dean's just like pleading for his life at this point because he's like, oh crap, Cas is really strong.
I gave everything for you, and this is what you give to me.
Dean like just says like, just do it. Like I think it does think that Cas is going to like kill him.
Mm-hmm.
We know Dean is suicidal at this point, right? Because he's going to give himself up to Michael, and Sam's already made the parallel between that and killing himself, and he's ready to give up. So he's saying to Cas, like, go ahead.
And we already know that him going to heaven makes it easy for Zachariah for him to find him.
That's true.
So he gets sent to heaven, gets sent back to Earth, somewhere where they're not going to be able to find, like where Sam, Cas, and Bobby are not going to be able to find him. And he can say yes with no interruption, basically.
This is it for Dean as well. Like, since they came back on Dark Side of the Moon, like, death isn't a way out for Dean. There's again, like, he has to say yes. Like, he can see his destiny, and it's
Mm-hmm.
I do love...
Doesn't this whole scene... Sorry. Doesn't this whole scene just remind you of season 8?
Yes.
Yep.
The crypt. Yeah.
Yep.
You're my baby daddy.
This is exactly the same thing. I just think of the outtakes where he's like, it doesn't hurt here. There's more up here. But yeah, this, like everything in this, apart from Cas's passion, which has obviously been wiped from his mind in season 8, like, even Cas, even Dean pleading on his knees to Cas, right there.
Exactly, it's the same, and it's not even like those two examples because it gets switched. Do you remember when like Dean beats the crap out of Cas in the bunker when he has the mark of Cain, and Cas is like, "Please don't do this." Look, there's a reason people ship this. And also, I feel like you're quite justified in saying that they have a special relationship. Because can anybody point to any times when Sam and Cas have fought like this? Right?
Right.
And if their relationship is purely brotherly, as is suggested, then surely Sam and Cas should fight like this too.
Agreed.
And it's just not. I feel like Sam and Cas's relationship is just another marker for the fact that Dean and Cas have something going on. Like, whether they realise it or not, actually. I like to read it that they don't, like they're completely like oblivious idiots. Like, absolutely don't know they're in love with each other until 15, 18. Because one, I like tragedy. I like it to hurt, like deep in my soul. And also, like, they're both idiots.
Cas doesn't realise he's in love. Dean realises when Cas explodes.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah.
I mean, this fight is everything. I love it so much. And yeah, we do see it played out from both sides, like again and again. Oh my god. Oh, I just...
It's the only way that they could represent their relationship in a physical way.
Exactly. I mean, and okay, violence isn't the answer, and this is not a healthy relationship. Like, no one is holding up Dean and Cas as like the pinnacle of a healthy relationship. Like, that's not what we're doing here.
I would hope
not, because it's not. But I don't know. I guess it, like, the read on this as well you could take is, and we saw it, like, it was literally framed earlier, like, Cas is the angel on Dean's shoulder, like, he's his guardian angel. So he's supposed to be guiding him towards the right decisions. And I'm sure everyone in their lives has made decisions where you think, if I did have a guardian angel right now, well, they would kick my ass. It's just for Dean that his is real.
And he's doing it in some back alley.
Yeah. Which... yeah, I don't know. All I'm saying is there's a lot of fan fiction around this scene, and I feel like if there's a lot, like, people don't read into things for nothing. Yeah.
Right.
It does still annoy me that even after, like, however many, like, a decade of this dithering around the subject, people are still called, like, crazy for believing it, when it's, like, we've said this before, like, the writers they're not stupid people. Right?
No.
They know what they're writing. They know all the TV tropes.
Exactly.
Like, they know all the relationships they've built within the show. Jeremy Carver understands Supernatural. And that's why we should have more writers at conventions.
Because we have questions. And we need answers.
Yeah. Just what was your intent? Yeah.
Exactly. And you brought it up at the beginning of this episode. There are no other women in this episode. No. So what else are you supposed to take from that?
This is also the problem. Like, we want deeply emotional stories between people. If you don't have any women in your show, then I'm sorry, but it's gonna end up being a little bit gay.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. But, like, also it doesn't have to be, again, Sam and Cas don't act like this.
That's very true. Like, I guess the problem is it. You know, I mean, there's the enemies to lovers trope that's out there, but maybe that's just harder to write because they just don't put Sam and Cas ever together to be able to establish that. Like, they were never, like, it starts off with them not being friendly with each other because Cas truly believes that Sam is evil, you know, isn't always going to be evil. Whereas, like, Cas almost looks at Dean as his savior because he will save Heather. Yeah. So there's that admiration there to begin with.
Exactly. But also, like, by the end of the show, Sam and Cas have, like, a deep affection for each other. That they are real good friends.
Yes.
And yet... they don't have the same emotional beats that Dean and Cas do. I mean, we'll talk about the mark of Cain when we get there, but, like, the parallels there between Cain's story and Dean's story, it's already forming here. I don't know. I just, like, if you can watch this episode and still not understand at least where people are coming from, I don't know what to I don't know what to say anymore.
And you know what? That's fine. If you don't see it for whatever reason, personally, I'd like to know why you don't see it. And also, it's not to say that, like, you should see it. If you honestly don't see it, then that's fine. But it's just very difficult for us who, again, we've watched the whole entire thing and we've seen the confession and all of that, and it's hard to separate it at this point.
I am very much of the opinion that you're allowed to enjoy media however you want, as long as it's not hurting someone else, and you go do you go do you. And this is how I enjoy my media.
But I mean, it's difficult not to see where the queer baiting starts in this.
And it's not like the CW doesn't have precedent. I mean, look at, like, Teen Wolf.
Right.
I don't know. Again.
And I'm pretty sure, like, the Vampire Diaries and all of that too, like every single show.
Yeah. And we're coming into, I feel like the 2010s were like the peak of this kind of like network TV kind of like queer baiting thing, and some of them followed through on it and some of them didn't, and it's like at a point in history now. I don't feel like shows can get away with it anymore as much.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, because it's not taboo to have a gay character anymore.
This is it. We've moved on as a society. So
right, exactly.
And there is a push for people, like they're generally just more inclusive stories. So like it's just not
right.
I don't know. And also, you don't tend to end up with as many shows that just have men in them.
Yeah. Yep.
Anyway, I knew I'd say a lot about this fight scene. I didn't realize it'd be quite that much. I watched this episode 2 days ago and I've been thinking about it ever since. Like, this is on my mind.
As it should be.
Anyway, yeah, tell us what you think about it. Send us your favourite gifts. This has been gift from second to second. I've seen it. Okay. So, Cas knocks Dean out. He doesn't kill him because, no, of course he doesn't. And, like,
never do that.
Takes him back. So we cut back to Dolby's study and Sam is there. And he's like, Adam's gone. Like, this is the worst day ever. And Bobby just says, like, shh.
My brother's abandoned me.
Exactly. Adam's gone. I'm trying to keep it together, man. And Bobby's just like, should I say it in Spanish? Like,
you're not helping, Bobby. I know your feelings got hurt, but this is not helping.
Laying on the sarcasm thick. We
yeah,
hide the hurt with sarcasm. And yeah, so Sam's like, he's gone how? And Bobby's like, well, what's your tone, boy? He was right in front of me and he disappeared into thin air. So clearly he told Zachariah where he was, and if he has a pinpoint in his location, he can just him.
Yep.
Cas
might want to change the noise on that one. But yes.
So sorry. I was thinking like vacuuming. You vacuumed him up. Cas appears carrying Dean. There are many papers around. Again, can't see this without the outtake, but the gag reel's ruined.
It's a parade.
The gag reel has ruined quite a lot this episode for me, I realise. So Dean's knocked out. He's also really battered and bruised. I did think for a second, because I haven't watched this episode for a while, that Cas was going to heal him when he put his fingers on him. He was like, no, I'm mad.
You're going to bear this pain.
So, they kind of have this whole thing about, like, how did they find Adam? Because Cas branded him, and they're like, yeah, well, he must have told him where he was. Like, I can't stop everything. Probably in a dream. And Samuel asks, well, where have you taken him? And we cut to the green room where Zachariah took Dean before. And he's eating the same things that Dean was eating because he's a mini Dean.
Yep.
And Zachariah says, I see you and your brother share the same refined palate.
So in season 4, I had mentioned like a fan theory that the reason why Adam didn't get out of the room, I think it's because Adam didn't get out of the room, was because he ate something.
Ooh.
Whereas Dean didn't.
Just like the fairy realm. Don't eat stuff in the fairy realm. Don't do it.
Exactly. So if you ever get taken, if it says eat me, so you say no thank you. And you carry on walking.
I think that must come from that whole, the like Greek, like Persephone and Hades thing, right? Where she eats some pomegranate seeds and then ends up having to marry Hades.
And, there's the whole like Adam and Eve thing where she ate an apple.
Like Christianity, like constant cribbing off of other people because they clearly just stole that from Greek myth. So Adam asked, like, we ready? Let's go. And Zachariah's like, oh yeah, right, about that. We're gonna have to let you go.
He's given the pink slip that he received at the beginning of this episode.
Exactly. I love the whole corporate stuff about... I feel like it's actually even more relevant in this day and age where, like, screw capitalism, because, I don't know, I just feel like they just feel more like bad guys because they're kind of talking corporate speak.
But the thing is, you're not so much the chosen one as you are a clammy scrap of bait.
I mean, look, Adam went his whole childhood without being used as bait by John, so I feel like that's so mean. So yeah, Adam's obviously upset. He's like, no, I was going to fight the devil. Like, this is why I'm here. And, he's like, well, no. He goes, but as Zachary says, if it's any consolation, you happen to be the illegitimate half-brother of the guy we do care about.
Like, that's a consolation. Consolation.
I hate this for Adam, because the reason that he died was because he was John Winchester's son. And then the reason that he gets brought back is because, he's John Winchester's son. Like, he literally can escape his flipping deadbeat dad.
Yeah, so I didn't mention this in the beginning, but in the teaser, in like the opening recap, it says like, well, he's cursed because he's a Winchester.
So true.
This is Adam's curse of being like forgotten, brought back, and then killed,
and then forgotten again.
When did that happen? And then killed.
Yeah, it's so much. I feel so sorry for Adam. He didn't deserve any of this.
Nope.
Can you?
How long do you think he was in hell for? If 1 year is 440 years or whatever it was.
I mean, they imply that for Sam it was like thousands of years. So for Adam it was longer than that.
It's a millennia.
Yeah. And that's why him and Michael are like bros.
Yeah, right.
So I don't know. What a destiny. I mean, poor Adam.
And he did all of this so he could see his mum, but he doesn't get to see his mum for
millennia. Millennia, yeah. And like, if heaven had actually been where heaven is supposed to be, this wouldn't have been a whole issue. It's about the angel's control over people that leads him to this situation. And John Winchester. It's always his fault. We just lead everything back to his fault.
It's always his fault.
So, Adam's like, you lied about everything. He's obviously realising that Sam and Dean were correct in what they were saying. And Zachary says, we didn't lie. We just avoided certain truths to manipulate you. And Adam says, you son of a bitch. Because, of course, he does. He's a Winchester. Zachary goes on to, monologue. And he's like, how do you think I feel? I'm the one who has to put up with that dumb, slack-jawed look on your face. We didn't have a choice. The Winchesters have got one blind spot and it's family. Sam and Dean, they're going to put aside their differences and they're going to come get you. This is going to put Dean right here, right where I need him to be. And he's like, and it'll finally click into place. The thing is, I do feel Zachariah's frustration. Like, as much as he's a smarmy douche, he just needed to do one
He's
thing.
had to deal with them for a season and a half and he hasn't been able to do it yet.
So he does say, Adam's like, well, I'm not going to let you. And Zachariah's like, it's fine. You'll still get to see your mum after this. And Adam says, well, why should I believe you? And Zachariah goes, I keep hearing this. And he does a little talking thing with his hand. He goes, when I should be hearing this. And then Adam just starts coughing up blood everywhere. Back in Bobby's panic room, Dean has been handcuffed finally.
Yep.
And Sam asks how he's feeling, and he says, word to the wise, don't piss off the nerd angels.
They fought Uriel, so in the past. So how, I guess because there was a lot more of them, I don't know.
It's just Cas is just really strong.
Yeah, I guess so.
he's just so strong. Look at it. Yeah. And also I don't feel like Dean had any way to fight back at that point. He's so he just can't be bothered as well. He's willing to let Cas beat the crap out of him, which is also terrible. Again, their relationship isn't a healthy one. So Sam
it's just a sexy one.
Look, if they fuck how they fight, it's gonna be good. Just saying. Sam explains the situation. He's like, Adam's gone. They've gone to the green room, pretty sure. Cass found him. There's a load of angels there. And it's pretty much a no shot in the hell, Hail Mary kind of thing. I'm surprised they use the term Hail Mary just because, their mother. But I feel awkward. And he's like, oh, okay, cool. What are you going to do? Because he's not planning to do anything, I guess. So I guess they were going to go see Adam. He said he didn't want Adam to sacrifice himself, so they're going to go get Adam.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There are too many of them. We can't do it alone, and you're pretty much the only game in town.
Isn't that a bad idea?
Cass and Bobby think so. I'm not so sure.
And he's like, they're right. You're going to let me out of here, and I'm just going to say yes. Like, why are you so dumb? And then Sam's like, look, you're not going to do it. I like this. But, like, I feel like it's so transparent what he's doing, and Dean still falls for it.
Yeah, you're right. Yep, you're right.
All Sam's doing is, like, just some simple reverse psychology. He's just like, okay, then. So he says, like, no, you won't. When push shoves, you'll make the right call. And Dean says, well, if, tables were turned, I'd let you rot in here. Hell, I have let you rot in here. It's different, though, because Sam was under the influence of demon blood, which is like and Ruby. But it also, like, manifests, like, physically. Like, he physically can't help himself. Whereas for Dean, this is an emotional problem. Right. And Sam says, well, I guess I'm not that smart. And when Dean asks why he's doing it, he just says, because you're still my big brother.
No.
I mean, yes. It's very manipulative, because then if Dean says yes, he's like, crap.
I'll let my little brother down.
It's I mean, you do what you do to win the fight, but it's very emotionally manipulative, but also, like, he is trying to stop the apocalypse, so I feel like we can forgive it.
That's very true. So then we cut to like an abandoned warehouse, and Dean's asking where they are, and they're in Van Nuys. Mm-hmm. I don't know how to say that. California. I find it weird that Dean refers to it as the beautiful room.
Yeah. Because Sam referred to it as the green room, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's just a slip of right. I don't know.
Because, like, does he truly think it... Because I can't imagine that Dean is all into French provincial furnishings.
Would he, like, really appreciate, like, a trip to Versailles? Is that, like, his dream trip? You know?
Yeah, probably. If he didn't have to fly, yeah. I guess Cass can take him.
Aw, maybe that was their honeymoon.
Yeah.
Taken to the Hall of Mirrors. So, yeah, no, it was just a weird... I thought that was quite weird. I don't know. Maybe...
Because he's called it that twice.
Yeah, it's just weird for Dean to refer to something as beautiful. It's just, like, why is he not making a joke about it?
And, like, it's kind of considered part of heaven, right?
Yeah.
Maybe? I don't know. It's very, very strange.
It's odd.
Because he says the beautiful room is in an abandoned muffler factory in California. He's like, Cass is like, well, where do you think it was? He's like, I don't know, Jupiter, a blade of grass, just not this town. It's just like, he's right. Like, it makes sense that he would think it would be some really bizarre place because it's like to do with the angels. Like, it wouldn't be somewhere just like in a town.
Yeah, like I thought it was like in another dimension, which I guess it kind of is. It's like tired to see, right? But
yeah.
Is there like a joke here that I'm not getting about it? Like Van Nuys in California, like do they maybe like shoot a lot of movies there or something? So is this just like a set? You know, are they trying to say, oh yeah, they're just sort of...
yeah, maybe.
Know. If someone understands the joke, please tell me.
That would make sense, yeah. Yeah, because like most sound stages are in California. I'm just going to look up real quick if it's in Southern or Northern California, because that will give... Oh, yeah, it's in LA.
Hey.
So, yeah, I think you're right. I think it is a reference to it being
fake, I guess, right? Because LA is very
Mm-hmm.
fake. I'm doing that in like quotes.
Well, it's not that it's fake, but that's where a lot of sound studios are for
That
TVs.
makes sense, yeah.
Series. Mm-hmm. Sam asks, why can't you just go in there and Shazam out of it? Cass says, because there's 5 angels. There's at least 5 angels in there. And he's like, well, you're fast, and they're faster. And he like takes off his tie. I was like, oh,
why was
hello.
it so hot? Like, why? Why? And then the whole time, Cass and the rest of the episode, I was just like, he's naked. He's not wearing a tie.
Yeah, right? Exactly. And then he gets naked. Well, not completely, but... and he's like, wait, you're going to take on 5 angels? He's like, yes. And he's like, isn't that suicide? And Cass has such an attitude. He's like...
Maybe it is. But then I won't have to watch you fail. Sorry, Dean. I don't have the same faith in you that Sam does.
Which, I'm wondering if it's just like, this is what it feels like to have someone lose faith in you and say it to your face. Because Sam literally just did that. Sorry, Dean just literally did that to Sam.
That's true. Yeah. And now Cass is like, you're the sucky one now.
Yeah,
side
exactly.
guy is extreme.
Extreme.
Yeah. I mean, again, like, Cass and Dean's storylines often parallel each other's, and in this case, like, Dean's lost all faith, and so has Cass. Like, he lost faith in heaven, then God, and then the only thing he had left was the Winchesters, mostly Dean, and now Dean is letting him down too, so he's done. Yeah.
Yep. And he's on a suicide mission. The thing that, like, he wouldn't let Dean do.
Just like Dean. I know, I mean... Oh, they're so alike. It's so irritating.
It really is. Cass pulls out a box cutter and he's like, Sam's like, what are you going to do with that? We never see it again. Cass walks into the warehouse and he like taunts one of the angels to attack. He manages to kill that angel, and then 4 more appear and he's like, come on, what are you waiting for? And as they lunge for him, he like opens up his shirt and he's got the banishing sigil, and he like puts his hands to his chest and like they all get banished, including himself. So we had talked about with Anna doing this and it, making her like making all the angels poof, but her stay. At that point, she doesn't have her grace, and I'm wondering if it interacts with grace rather than being the vessel of an angel.
I think it would make sense because the light, I feel like the light going form is actually their grace, like being expelled, and then their vessels like follow it because they're tied in some way. Yeah, that makes sense because Cass goes poof too.
Yep.
Question: who
Yes.
carved the sigil on Cass's chest? Because I feel like it would be hard to do on yourself. Like, just not because it would hurt, not Cass because he's an angel. I mean, it would hurt him, but like also just getting it backwards.
I'm gonna say Sam because he doesn't want to touch Dean right now.
No.
Like he's just too annoyed. He's just like, you can't. No. You know when you get really annoyed with somebody and they're trying to make up to you, so they like touch your arm and you're just like, no.
Yeah, not ready.
Like to
Look at you.
to engage with you right now. Yeah. I think that's
Your
where
aura annoys me. You're standing too close. Yeah. Yeah, and like also
the way you're breathing right now.
Stop thinking so loud.
Exactly.
And like also like Sam would get it right. Like the first time.
Yes.
He wouldn't be like, oops. No, bless him. Yeah. I mean I think it's implied that Cass did it himself. But there's some angel magic going on here because he doesn't bleed through his shirt until he reveals the sigil.
Yeah. Yep.
Just the reveal.
Maybe he's got like an undershirt on, and when he like opens up his shirt, he like grabs the undershirt at the same time, which
I need to leave the house more if this is like the thing that's exciting at the moment.
Oh, that's funny. So Sam and Dean enter the warehouse, and they find like there's like a smaller room inside this bigger warehouse, and they open up the door and they see Adam on the floor like coughing up blood, and he's like, "Oh, you came for me." He says, "Yeah, your family." And he's like, "It's a trap," and he's like, "I figured." And Zachariah appears and says, "You know, you didn't think it was going to be that easy," and Dean's like, "Did you?" And Sam lunges at him, but completely fails because he gets thrown across the room.
As per.
Yeah, exactly. And Zachariah says probably the funniest thing that I've heard this entire season.
You know what I've learned from this experience, Dean? Patience.
It's like, no, you haven't. No, you haven't. You were literally ranting about how like petty and all this. You have not learned patience.
I feel like I feel like Zachariah's bad at his job. Because all he had to do was get Sam and Dean in the same place and just start like murdering Sam, and then Dean would have said yes. And if they hadn't ended up going to heaven and finding out that they like, you know, would just be brought back or whatever, then like just do that. And like and Dean would have been like, okay, I'll save Sam. Like right at the beginning of the season, he would have done it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Zachariah's bad at his job.
Yeah, I mean, if Cass hadn't intervened in that first episode.
That's it. That's it, see? Cass is always the one.
Oh, that sneaky, sneaky angel. Adam starts to fall to the ground, starts coughing up more blood. And Zachariah's like, I thought I was downsized for sure. A firing for us is pretty damn literal. And it says, you, me, your hemorrhaging brothers. And Sam starts to do the same thing, coughing up blood on the floor. And Dean's like looking between all three of them, like Zachariah, Sam, and Adam. And he says, you have no other choice. There's never been a choice. And the way that Dean's voice breaks when he says, stop it right now.
Stop it right now.
I hate it. And it's like, he also calls him his name. He says, damn it, Zachariah. Stop it, please. I'll do it. Like that was absolutely genuine. He hasn't come up with plan B yet, or plan like F. I don't know what plan they're on right now. But like in that moment, he has truly, his will has been broken.
And like the thing is, there's like no need for it. Like all the senseless like hurting and torturing, Dean was ready to say yes. Like there was no need for Zachariah to be like bleeding out Sam and Adam on the floor.
And I'm wondering if that's part of the reason why his mind got changed. Like he saw that, because after this he kind of stops. They're still hemorrhaging, but I guess they're like not dying as badly anymore. Because I guess Zachariah's like distracted because he says, sorry, what? And he says, okay, yes, the answer is yes. And he yells, like, do you hear me, Michael? Do you hear me? Cool Michael down, you bastard. Everybody accuses everybody of lying because he says, how do you know you're not lying? And Zachariah turns around and starts speaking in Nokian, basically to summon Michael. And we know he's coming because it's all like shaky and white light and all that kind of stuff. We get a shot of Sam looking at Dean and Dean looking at Sam, and then he kind of gives like a smirk.
He winked.
It was a great smirk.
He winks at him. He's like, eh. Yeah,
he does. I thought he just smirked. I didn't see the wink. That's amazing. And then Dean says, of course I have a few conditions. We already knew that he had a few conditions though, because when he spoke with Lisa, he's like, I'm going to make sure that people like you get where you need to be kind of thing. Because he says there's a few people whose safety you have to guarantee before I say yes. And he's like, sure, make a list. Which the way he says that, I'm thinking Zachariah doesn't believe that. He wouldn't follow through. Because there's no way to make them accountable because they don't care about him. They just care about his him being a vessel.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you're right. Like Zachariah, like he's reminded in this moment of like the cruelty of the angels, like how much they don't care about humans. Because you're right. I think he changed his mind at the last second because he realized that even if Michael wins and everyone ends up in heaven, they'll still be under the thumb of the angels.
Right, exactly. And he's I guess like things are starting to click in place for him a little bit, because Adam's saying that his heaven was his prom night, but his only family is his mum, which he doesn't get to be with in heaven. So is that kind of registering to him at this moment that heaven is not all that good or all that great that Pamela was saying in Dark Side of the Moon? Because that was kind of what he was getting at earlier in this episode before he meets Adam, saying that, like, you know, we're not going to be able to save everybody, but they're going to be going to a better place. But they're not.
Well, exactly.
Because heaven is not that
great. And the angels are dicks and they would have control over everybody. Like, it would be terrible.
Right.
As we kind of know from Apocalypse World later on, like, it does turn out terrible. Like, they don't care at all. So, yeah. Ultimately, like, if Zachariah hadn't been such a bastard, probably Dean would have said yes.
Yeah. And then his final demand is that Michael has to disintegrate you. And he's like, what?
Before Michael gets one piece of this sweet ass, he has to turn you into a piece of charcoal.
And he's like, Zachariah doesn't believe him. He's like, you think he's going to do that?
Who's more important to him now? You? Or me?
Zachariah says, you're nothing but a maggot inside a worm's ass. Which, that visual is disgusting, but also, like, is very, very small.
Very small.
You know, do you know who I am after I deliver you to Michael? And he says expendable. Ooh. The way he says that is just like and then Zachariah says, Michael's not going to kill me. He says, maybe not, but I am, and like stabs him through the head.
Good. Bye, Zachariah. You won't be missed, but you were a good character.
Bye. I don't feel like we get to see that kind of smarmy angel for a while. And not in the same way. Like, the corporate side of heaven doesn't quite come through the same way after him.
Yeah, it's more seen as, like, mind control-y, kind of. Yeah.
No. Dean goes over to Adam and, like, kind of picks him up and asks if he can walk. He then goes over to Sam and picks him up. And I guess... So this is where I was like, it's because Adam gave him the answer that he can walk that he kind of abandons him. Because Sam looks more like he can't get up.
I think subconsciously Dean was choosing to save his brother first. I'm like they're both his brother, but Sam choosing to save Sam first.
Yeah.
Adam's just a second-class citizen. I'm sorry, but he is in this show.
To Dean and the show. Yeah. And as Sam and Dean exit the green room, the door shuts and locks behind them, and Adam's like banging on the door, like asking for help to get out. Dean does try to go back in, but the door is like on fire with angel light. And Adam yelling out for help is so sad. Like, he's like, Dean, help, Dean. It's like, hold on, we'll get you out, just hold on. And then, like, as the green room fills with light, and then suddenly, like, it fades and he can open the door again, but it's just the office of this abandoned warehouse now. It's no longer the beautiful room. And then, like, he calls out to Adam, like, kind of sadly. We are then at the end of the episode, and they're in the Impala, and Sam asks if Adam's gonna be okay. And he says, I doubt it. And Cas probably not either. But they'll get them. And Sam's like, so? He says, so what? I saw your eyes. They twinkled at me. I'm just kidding. It's very awkward writing. But yes, he says, I saw your eyes. You were totally rocking the yes back there. What changed your mind?
I mean, the world's ending. The walls are coming down on us. I look over to you, and all I can think about is this stupid son of a bitch brought me here. I just didn't want to let you down.
Sam then says, you didn't. You almost did, but you didn't. Dean then apologizes to Sam, even though he doesn't want one. He says, I don't know if it's being a big brother or what, but to me, you've always been that snot-nosed kid that I've had to keep on the straight and narrow. I think we both know that that's not you anymore. I mean, hell, if you're grown up to have faith in me, the least I can do is return the favor. So screw destiny, right in the face. I say we take the fight to them and do it our way. And Sam ends the episode by saying, sounds good. So Dean's got his faith back, yes! But his faith is not in anybody else but themselves.
Yeah. That reminds me of the thing they say in Tengen Toppengur and Lagan, where it's like, don't believe in yourself, believe in me who believes in you.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah. What was his name?
Simon and
Simon's.
I can't remember. Glasses dude.
Yes, glasses dude. Back to this show. Oops. Oh, so good. Okay. Go watch it. We didn't do it any service. Well, we tried, but it's such a good episode. Lots to think about, and like so much of what comes after this is being defined in this episode.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, yeah, I feel like we'll be constantly referring to this episode. Like, it's just that good. And like I said, it all just comes together. Like, it's just everything that everyone's been thinking and feeling and what's going on. It's all just there. And we're like all geared up for the end. And there's still 5 episodes left. And it's all just like real good. Or 4 episodes left. Some episodes left.
4, yeah.
It's good. And like all the major players are starting to get into place. It's great. I mean, poor Dean. He says like, we'll go get Sam and we'll go get Adam and Cas. And like, they kind of do, but like also don't.
Not in the way they expect.
Yeah, exactly. I do also love that like Michael was summoned and then he had like Dean and Adam in the same place and was like, I don't know. Dean, though, seems kind of like difficult.
Yeah. I'm guessing what happens to Adam is that he basically gets tortured like Dean would have been until he says yes. Because there's obviously a defiant streak in Adam. We've seen that when he was, not wanting to do as Sam and Dean asked, and then his attitude towards Zachariah. So, the promises that were made to him were no longer going to be true. Yeah. So why would he say yes? So the only way that he would get a yes is by going after Michael. Which makes it funny. Not going after Michael, going after Adam. Which makes it funnier that they become friends.
Again, none of the relationships here were healthy.
Oh yeah, no, not at all.
Yeah, I do kind of love it that like Michael finally got to Earth and was just noped out on Dean. I think that's just so funny because he's just so like stubborn, and I think he just knew he would never have a chance. Like you said, like even like torturing him would have taken too long. Like Dean's not going to give in. Yeah. So Michael was the easy soft target, which is also terrible for Adam. I mean, he just gets such a raw deal in this show.
He really does. I love the fact that we're both mixing up Michael and Adam because he's kind of one and the same at this
now.
point.
Yeah, you're right. Like that's true. I didn't even realize I was doing it. Yeah, we just have to smush their names together. There is already a ship name, and I can't remember what it is.
I wouldn't know.
No, I don't know.
Oh, but this episode is so good. I know I keep saying it, but I just don't have the words to really describe how amazing this episode truly is.
I regained my faith in supernatural watching this episode.
Oh, I like it. I like that.
To be fair, it did actually remind me why it's good. Like, we've had a couple of episodes where I'm like, why do I like this show? Like, it's so dumb. Why do I like it? And then you watch it and you're like, oh, that's why.
Yeah, exactly.
And the thing, as well as like the emotional beats in this, it's also really nicely shot this episode. Like, it all looks very good. And like, one bit that was funny was when they were outside the warehouse and they say they're in California. Like, it was so brightly lit. Like, it felt like a season 9 episode for a second. I was really confused about what was going on. But yeah, it was good. I know what the next episode is as well, and I'm also excited for that. I feel like I'm gonna have so much to say.
So this is another one of those episodes where I was like, I swear this happened in season 9. I had no clue that Hammer of the Gods was in season 5. Like,
but it has to be because there's the ending of this episode. The next episode is like, oh, if you don't remember, you're gonna enjoy it. It's good.
I honestly don't remember. I just like, it just gives me American Gods vibes.
It is like 100% cribbed from Neil Gaiman.
Yeah.
But it's good, and yeah, I'm really excited for it. I'm excited for it because I haven't watched it in a really long time. I don't think I've watched it since I read American Gods, so I'm quite excited to be like, yeah, you stole that. That was taken from that. Maybe I'm wrong. I might be wrong, which is also quite exciting. I don't know.
Well, I guess the way that I haven't actually, I've read part of American Gods. I haven't finished it.
It's long.
The concept of like all of the gods gathering is what kind of like my brain is going to, rather than like maybe the story.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I'm excited to see all the portrayals and stuff again. It's a good episode. Yeah. And we're nearly done with season 5. I keep saying it, but like,
we are. Yeah.
I can't believe it. And then we're a third of the way through the show.
How crazy is that?
I know.
How crazy is that?
Yeah.
And we start to get into some pretty subpar
questionable territories.
Yeah. Like, we had some, like, season 2 is a little questionable, parts of season 1, but I feel like, you know, that there was redeemable moments. And I'm thinking some of these late, like, the rush through seasons that I did, I don't know if paying attention to them this time round is really going to be beneficial.
Someone asked me, like, how this season ended, so I told them, and then I went on to explain, like, the rest of Supernatural, and I got to the end of season 8, and then I was like, everything else is kind of like squishes together from there. Like, I'm not really sure. Yeah. We'll see. I'm excited to watch it again. It's good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So, do you have anything else you wanted to add apart from go watch it because it's such a good episode?
No, I don't. I just think it was good, and like, I don't know, Cass is really good in this episode. I didn't feel like I didn't say it at all, and then I need to say it now because there was that real, like, just, I don't know. I'm like touching my face, like trying to explain like the jawline.
I will say this: Phil Segrisha knows how to light everybody because they all, like, I don't know how old Jake Abel is in this episode, so I don't want to be too creepy, but like, even Jim Beaver, they all look amazing in this episode.
They do. They all look really good.
Like, I don't know what they did. They got all that like soft light on. Oh, it was good. It was good.
Like, the moment for me was Cass walking through the woods. That was beautiful. Really good.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Do you think we got what at the beginning is Lazarus Rising? Do you think Cass did that exact same walk through the woods?
Oh, no, because it was in a big field. It was in a big field.
Oh, it is a big field. But there are trees that are like decimated, like, because the surrounding areas.
That's
massive.
true. We had never decided in Nazareth Rising at what point in the timeline Cas gets his vessel. He's all like, I'm doing my angel voice. Oh, that was the point for this episode. That high-pitched ringing noise, super loud on my television. And, like, I had my windows open and I had to close them because I was worried that the neighbours might think, I don't know, something was happening. I was, like, summoning angels. Like, it was long, it was loud, and it went on for ages. And I guess, actually, that is a good point. If you have any, like, audio processing issues, like, just turn down your TVs for a bit because it was, like, I feel like if I had a dog, it would bark at the television.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, it was very, very high pitched. I don't think I had that same problem, but I tend to keep the volume on things like really, really low, like barely be able to hear it low.
I'm a subtitles gal. I do like it, but yeah, I had this on black.
You were feeling it today, or whenever 2 days ago.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, then, at the end of the episode, we'd like to thank the Pixel Gore for his amazing logo art. And if you'd like to get it on a coaster, you can find it on our Redbubble store. And come talk to us about this episode and how amazing it is and how much you liked how it was really hate fucking, and we're not going to talk about it. You can find us all over social media, Tumblr, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube at the Escaping Purgatory podcast or Escaping Podcast on Twitter.
Yeah. So this week, we laughed, we cried, we beat the crap out of each other in an alleyway. So next week, hopefully, we can find our way out. Bye!
Bye!